Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's workshop training. It's your host, Felix, and today we are going to be talking about object replication for Azure blobs. So, as usual, I'm going to take us to a Microsoft documentation that talks about this. We're going to have a brief run through of that documentation, then come back to the Azure portal to learn what we have just finished reading. So guys, this is the documentation here. Object replication for blobs. So simply, object replication on Azure is a process where data is being copied from one storage account to a different storage account asynchronously. It's here. Object replication asynchronously copies blobs between a source storage account and a destination account. Some scenarios supported by object replication include minimizing latency. Object replication can reduce latency for read requests by enabling clients to consume data from a region that is closer in physical proximity. So, what this means is that if we create a storage account in one region and create another one in another region and enable object replication between the two storage accounts, it's going to be easier our clients to um, to access data from a region that is closer to them, meaning that it's going to reduce latency while trying to reach the server to access their data. Increase efficiency for compute workloads. With object replication, compute workloads can process the same sets of blobs in different regions. So that's really just about efficiency for your compute workloads. Optimizing data distribution. You can process or analyze data in a single location, or that's from my friend, in a single location, and then replicate just the result to additional regions. Optimizing cost. After your data has been replicated, you can reduce cost by moving it to the archive tier using lifecycle management policies. We had covered lifecycle management policies in a different workshop video. I'm going to link it here so you can always have access to it. So this diagram here shows what object replication is. Basically, this is a source account in region 1 and a destination account, sorry, in region 2. This is also another destination account here in region 3. So you can see here that there is an asynchronous replication of data between container 1, source container 1, and destination container 1, right? And you can also see that there is also another replication done from container 2, the same source account in region 1, to destination account in region 3. So really that's what object replication is, replicating data between storage accounts. So let us look at the prerequisites and caveats for object replication. Change feed must be enabled on the source account, right? We are going to see this when we head over to the Azure portal. Blob versioning must be enabled on both the source and destination accounts. We're also going to see this. So enabling change feed and blob versioning may incur additional cost. It's always good, you consider pricing when using Azure services. Object replication is supported for general purpose V2 storage accounts and premium blob accounts. Both the source and destination accounts must be either general purpose V2 or premium blob accounts. Object replication supports blobs only. Append blobs and page blobs aren't supported. So append blobs here are blobs that has continuous write operations on it, and page blobs here are like really blobs that hold things like disk for your VMs and other compute resources. Object replication is supported for accounts that are encrypted with either Microsoft managed keys or customer managed keys. So right, so guys, I'm just going to head over to the Azure portal to try some of these things out, then come back here to consume this documentation more. So let's create a storage account. So if you're new to Azure, it's possible that your Azure environment would be blank and you wouldn't see these resources lined out here like it is on mine. So the best option for you to do is to use this search option to search for a resource you're looking for. So let's search for storage account. So we're going to create a storage account. In a previous video, I had made a detailed workshop video on how to create a storage account, storage containers, and also upload blobs to the storage containers and access them using a shared access signature. I'm going to link that video to this workshop here too, so you can consume it for yourself. So let's call these object replication. Remember, while creating a name on Azure, it has to be unique across the whole of Azure. So we're going to leave this in East US, and when we create another storage account, we'll leave it in another region. So I'm going to leave it here in general purpose V2. I'm also going to leave the redundancy here in Joe redundant storage. So let's go to next. So we're not going to do anything here. So this is what we need to do. So remember what the documentation said. It said change feed must be enabled on the source account. Blob versioning must be enabled on both the source and destination account. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to enable versioning for blobs, right? So what versioning does is that it automatically maintains previous versions of your blobs, meaning that if there's a modification to your data or your blob, it keeps track of versions of the modification. So you can always go back to see what was modified or what was done to that blob, right? So we're also going to click on enable blob change feed, right? So it keeps and keep track of create modification and delete changes to blobs in your account. So guys, let's click on next, review, and create. So I'm going to come to this other tab here to create another storage account. Let's call this one. I'm going to put this in the resource group. So let's call this objects. I think I've copied this, so let's call this 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, your storage account name must be unique across Azure. So let's put this in a different region entirely. I'm going to put this in South Africa because it's very close to me here in Nigeria. So I'm going to put this here in LRS. So also always have in mind that while working on Azure, you should also always optimize your environment to maintain and reduce cost as much as possible. So we're back here again, and remember what the documentation says. Change feed must be enabled on source account, but it didn't say anything about we enabling it on the destination account. So it means I won't enable it on the destination account. But it said here that blob versioning must be enabled on both the source and destination account. So we're going to do that here. And it's important to know that if you don't do this now at the creation stage, you can't enable versioning for blobs after a storage account is created. You can only do this while creating a storage account. So guys, I'm just going to review and create. So I'm going to come back here. Oh, I didn't click on create here. So let's click on create here to create this. So deployment is in progress. Let's create this one too. So guys, just okay, we're done creating. Let's go to the resource to see our resource. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a container here. And like I said, I have already done a detailed video on how to do all of this. So maybe I'm just going to show us how to do this. So all these containers here are automatic. It's used in managing the storage account itself. So let's create a container. Let's call this, let's use my name. Let's call this Felix, right? So let's see what we have in advance. So we don't need any of these here, right? So we're just going to leave this and create this container. All right, so let's upload blobs to this container. So just gonna click on browse files and let's upload these two files here. So let's come back here and create a storage account for replication purpose. So let's call this, let's so we can see that we don't have the blob change feed container here like we have on this other one here, right? Let me show you what I mean here, and that's because we didn't enable blob change feed on this particular storage account. So let's create another one. Let's call this Felix for replication. So we've done that. Now we know that we've uploaded two blobs here. So how are we going to enable object replication? Let's see what the documentation says. So object replication asynchronously copies blobs in a container according to the rules that you configure. The contents of the blob, any versions associated with the blob, and the blob's metadata properties are all copied from the source container to the destination container. So important here to note, because blob data is replicated asynchronously, the source accounts and destination accounts are not immediately in sync. So we can see here that there's currently no SLA on how long it takes. So we've already done blob versioning, right? Another thing you also need to note here is that when a blob in the source account is deleted, the current version of the blob becomes the previous version, and there's no longer a current version. So what that means is that when we've enabled versioning like we've done so, and a blob is deleted in the source account, it means that we won't have any current version of that blob, but it's going to still keep the previous version of the blob. So let's just go back and do object replication. So for us to do object replication on these storage accounts to the other storage accounts, we need to come over to data management. This is what we're looking for. So under data management, we're looking for object replication. So for us to make this possible, we're going to create replication rules. So we know it's the destination account is 123 because that is where we are. So now we now have to choose a source account is 123, but now we now have to choose a destination account for us to make this possible. So our destination account is object replication 1234, but it doesn't end here. We also have to specify the container. So the container I'm copying on that source account is called Felix, and I'm copying to destination account to a destination container on the destination account called Felix for replication. Right? So let's see what this says. To manage how many objects are copied in the destination container, specify that objects are copied based on when they were added to the source container. So if I'm to create this thing now, it will mean that only new objects will be copied to the destination account after this policy has been created. It's only going to affect new blobs alone. You can also commit to use custom to choose date and time and so on to still further track it down to particular kinds of blobs. But I want every blob to be copied, so I'm going to choose everything and I'm going to click save. So what it says here, to configure more than 10 container pairs up to 100, see, means you might have to use JSON file to do this. So let's create this replication rule. So remember, we have a container on here for our replication called Felix for replication. So successfully apply replication policy on storage account. So let's see what we can do to this. Can we edit the rules? Yes, we can edit the rules. So let's see what we can do here. So you can see that a container pair consists of a container in the source account and a container in the destination account. Objects uh, in the source container are copied over to the destination container according to the replication rule. You can optionally filter which objects are copied by specifying a prefix match by copying objects created only after a specified date and time. So guys, let's refresh this and see if our policy has taken place. So it has still not populated yet. So let's just give it some time for it to populate. So guys, we can see here that our object replication has finally taken place. So the data we have here has been replicated from this storage account. Let's see what I mean. So the data we have here in this container on this storage account called Felix, right, has been replicated to the container on this storage account here, right? So guys, that's how you do object replication on Azure using the Azure portal. So let's just read this a little bit more, then end up this workshop session. So there's something I want us to note. There's a particular thing I want us to know here. That's why I'm taking it a little bit further. So, okay, so this is what I'm looking for, guys. The source and destination containers must both exist before you can specify them in a rule. After you create the replication policy, write operations to the destination container aren't permitted. So what that means is that we won't be able to upload blobs to the destination container, right? And that is because there is a replication rule in effect, and we can't add blobs to that container because automatically it's already there's already a replication policy that links it to another storage account. So let's see what I mean here. Let's try uploading something here and see what it's going to return. So let's upload something else. Let's upload this. So guys, you can see here the request is rejected because of object replication policy. So meaning that we can't upload new blobs to a destination container or account that has a replication policy in effect. So guys, you can always go back to delete a policy if it's not more in effect and you don't want to use the policy anymore. But today, guys, this is the end of today's workshop. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and also so guys, this brings us to the end of our workshop today. Don't forget to like, share, comment on this video so it reaches newer audiences who are also looking for materials like this. So guys, till some other time. Ciao.